Hello, my name is Zane Safrit, and I am delighted today to be talking with Pastor Rick Zickefoose of Brighton Community Church in Brighton, Iowa. Now we're going to be talking about, people in our communities who are, they don't have enough food to eat today. They didn't have enough food to eat yesterday. Probably won't have enough food to eat tomorrow. That's what's defined as food insecurity. I prefer to spell out all the gory details. So, Rick, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you
Thanks for
taking
giving
the
me
time.
a chance.
Yeah. So, help our audience understand Iowa geography. Brighton is not in Jefferson County.
Right. We're just about 2 miles north of the northern line of Jefferson County. So we're right in the corner of Washington, Jefferson, and Henry County.
Okay. And so we met because I did not know that. And one day in September, I was wanting to reach outside of Fairfield into Jefferson County to speak with churches who are dealing with this homeless situation and also those in need of food. And I picked up the phone, and the first church I called was Brighton Community Church. Fortunately, it was Rick Zickefoose who answered. And we spoke, and then you came down to Fairfield, and you met us with that group of about 15 or others in the Golden Magnolia Sanctuary.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I remember the phone call, actually. First of all, I was trying to figure out your name. Zane, whatever.
Yeah.
And the county line,
Yeah.
that whole thing.
What is he doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
But then you invited me to the Bountiful Bakery,
Yeah.
So that what's in the name?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, right, you had me from the word eclair. So we had a great chance to meet. I did meet with a group at the Magnolia, and it was a delightful group there as well. I was so excited. I wanted to be part of anything that has to do with networking on resources together instead of all of us going to, into our little forts, creating the wheel over and over and over again.
Right.
Behind the blinds, hiding from each other.
Yeah, sure.
I was so excited to hear that there was some idea of sharing our resources together.
Yeah. Well, I remember you walked into the meeting, and you're the only face I didn't recognize because I hadn't met with yet. And I walked up to you, and I go, "And who are you?" And you were pretty polite about the whole thing. You invited me. So you were born and raised in Brighton, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And then you left, and then what inspired you to return?
Yeah, I went through some really rough waters in my life, and I just needed to come home and be close to my family and friends. And,
Great.
I was never technically homeless, but I did live in a rusty old camper for a while until I could afford an apartment to get into. And so, I've had life doesn't always turn out the way you plan it, is what I learned. And so that's not a referendum on you as an individual.
Yeah.
If you'll let people help you, get back on your feet. And then that becomes an opportunity to pay it forward. So everybody's received something that they can pay forward to other people. And that becomes, the objective we're trying to accomplish here is we're working together collectively to pay it forward to other people that are in need at this time.
Get it. Nice. So when you came back, what were the biggest changes you saw in your hometown?
Yeah. So Brighton is my Mayberry RFD. It was where I was Opie Taylor. I grew up there. It was the best of the best town. They had, for kids riding bikes all over town and that sort of thing. So back in its glory days, Brighton was like 1,100 people, I think, in the early 1900s.
Okay.
We had, believe it or not, we had our own opera house, a motel.
Wow.
There was a movie theater. There were 3 railroad lines, 49 businesses, 3 factories in Brighton.
Whoa.
Then one by one, the railroads started to pull out.
Yeah.
And of course, when they did, the opportunity was lost to be a progressive community.
Sure.
And then over the years, Brighton became, a bedroom community.
Right.
People either drive to work that live there, they drive elsewhere, or they don't have a job. So then that brings the property prices, rent, and mortgages down. So a lot of people come in, they're already struggling financially when they come to Brighton. And then that creates its own culture, of problems with it. So that was a change that's changed in my lifetime there.
When did the factories leave Brighton?
Yes, and I don't know the history off the top of my head for that. I'm not sure why they did. If there was a 1-2, like if the railroads pulled out first and then the factories left, if Yeah, if they closed simultaneously, I don't know. There was a lightning rod factory. There was a creamery there. It was quite. And at one time, Brighton was considered for the county seat in Washington.
Wow.
Before Washington itself was selected.
When did you? I mean, those are some of the changes that Fairfield went through. The manufacturing base, pulled out.
No.
I bet 10% of the space is used for one shift now, maybe 15%.
Wow.
All those good jobs, benefits, families.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you see the need for food and shelter in your community? When did
Yeah.
you see that starting?
Yeah, of course, for us, it happened dramatically at the COVID shutdown.
Okay.
Right. So suddenly you couldn't find a roll of toilet paper on the shelf. Sometimes a loaf of bread or milk, even nothing was there,
Wow.
And so there was no way to interpret at that time how it might impact the economy at large, even internationally.
Sure.
There was all kinds of sphere-based speculations on that. So I decided it was time that we needed to have some store of food in our own building for our own community. Should things get worse, or even for our own membership. We had nothing there. That's not a good place for a church to be. So we added kind of our own homemade, food pantry at first in May of 2020, and then in October of 2020, we partnered up with HACAP, the Hawkeye Area Community Action Program out of Hiawatha up by Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
Great people, some of the finest people. And then a year later in 2021, we added the TFAP program, which is the Emergency Food Assistance Program. HACAP is like surplus foods that are donated. TFAP is a federally subsidized program, and they've got a lot of wonderful things too. So we began to develop the program, and then little by little, other churches in the area began to partner together with us. St. Joseph has a monthly collection and brings it over. The other churches partner together with us financially. The Lions group gifts to us. Some of the Lions members sit with the pantry weekly.
Really?
Yeah, it's become quite a successful community program.
Well, I was invited to speak to the Lions Club here in Fairfield. Erica Paulus Voorhees asked me to come and speak, and I spoke for about 15 minutes and talked about volunteer opportunities in our community. So that's great to hear that the Lions Club is members are participating up there.
Yeah, right. And so they're targeting, so with a food stamp card, an EBT card, whatever they call it now.
Yeah.
There's certain things you can't get, such as laundry soaps, detergents,
Right.
paper products, etc. So Lions is specifically, I think they buy us like $100 a month of those products and deliver them and put them on the shelf for us.
That's fantastic.
Oh, it's fantastic. And they go like hotcakes, they're the people that actually need that stuff. Yeah.
Now I look upon you as sort of a source
Be careful.
of. Okay, this is a public video, so, but I look upon you as a source of, really positive change and recognizing this need in your community. And I told you I was going to wave this in front of the camera. These are all the programs that you have been involved in establishing, leading, sustaining. Obviously, as pastor, you've got the traditional worship service. You have your Sunday school class. You have your midweek Bible studies. In addition, you have your Celebrate Recovery and Celebration place. That's for ages 5 to 13 years old. The Celebrate Recovery is for adults. You have a GriefShare Recovery Meeting. And you have a food pantry and winter closet. And the reason I bring all those up is because, as we've spoken, these issues about recovery, GriefShare, and food pantries are all sort of intertwined.
Yes.
What's been the change in your community as you've rolled this out and people have found it, started becoming regular customers?
Sure.
If you will.
Sure. So, along with the financial struggles that the smaller ag communities, typically invite their populace from. Come a lot of dysfunctional lifestyles, unfortunately.
Sure.
And so, with those, what we're trying to do is target felt needs. So, as a Christian community there in Brighton, we want to touch people where they're at, not, some symbolical thing that's really irrelevant to their lives.
Yeah.
So, this is an area that we feel like, there's a legitimate need in those areas. We see little children getting on the bus and they don't have any gloves or hat or whatever. And there's people that have tons of that in their home, So we just, starting in October, we just start receiving winter coats, hats, gloves, boots, and that kind of thing. And it's a win-win. The children benefit from that. The families. We have families that just as a family project do that. They take their children shopping to help other little children. I just think it's a wonderful lesson for them, to carry into their adulthood as well. So.
Well, I mean, just what you're describing there, I go and think about what is a home life like for children who have to get on the school bus with other kids who might have all those things and they don't. Besides the fact that they're cold and they're shivering and they're starting the day in a miserable condition, kids being kids, they can sometimes point out these differences in really unpleasant ways, which makes childhood a really unpleasant experience.
Yeah.
Because I'm willing to bet in those homes there is food insecurity. There would be, a lack of adequate food for them to pursue their educational needs or athletic needs or growing up.
Yeah, oftentimes, right. Yes. And with children, for instance, since we're speaking of them,
Yeah.
if it's any child's different, just
Oh my
different
God.
in any way, taller, shorter, different color of skin, different hairstyle, whatever it is, they get picked on. It's just, unfortunately, goes along with that, age group. And so I'm just helping them feel normal, if that's the right term.
Yeah,
So they don't stand out, so they can just be part of the class.
that's right. So how many people are you serving with these resources now?
Yeah, right. So I think we're averaging 60 to 90 a month
Okay.
that shop. We only run the winter clothes closet. We don't have space in our building for a full-blown closet that runs year-round. So we just do the coats and hats and mittens and things from October to March. And then the pantry is year-round, of course. And so the pantry, the winter clothes is closed out now. We're just wrapping it up. But the pantry's progressing. We just had our first USDA inspection. So,
Dude,
that had a lot of regulations to it. All the freezers had to have thermometers in them and
Yeah, sure.
logs and all of those things, and we passed with flying colors.
That's
So we
fantastic.
just had a great group of people. What I'm pitching is, we have a new lady named Teresa who's become a member of our church. She's taken over the pantry. She's doing a whiz-bang job with it. We have volunteers that are coming in, and it's a nice program. It's healthy. There's side benefits that are beyond just what it does for the shoppers that come. It's
Right.
good for us as a church family and a community of people. So,
Well, in this brief journey I've had over the past 8 or 9 months, one thing I've, experienced is, volunteering, yeah, it can be, it's time consuming. It can require a little bit of energy. I know when I help at First Church of the Nazarene, it's a 3-hour weightlifting session of squats, deadlifts, core, arm curls, to pack up and deliver into the cars of up to 100 households in a 3-hour period. So, but I always come away energized, refreshed, inspired. So,
yes. So one of the benefits with us having a stationary pantry is, you can pretty much say, I will spend 1 hour at the pantry, and you come and do it, and then you're free to leave.
Yeah.
So there's not like a minimum requirement that they have to meet.
Right.
They can come and just to visit us and see what's going on down there and kind of learn the ropes a little bit. So we've set up a rotation calendar for the sitters that come and sit with the shoppers. And we like to be active with them, proactive, and go out and help them shop, and learn about their families and maybe help them pick out foods. We have, I think the Iowa
building
State,
community.
yeah, Iowa State University is coming in before too long to do like a health cooking class.
Oh my goodness.
And they're going to package meals together. So we'll actually be able to say, in this inventory that we presently have, you could build this meal. And it'll have a menu inside of it, and it'll tell you how to cook the food. And then they're going to come, actually, we haven't set the date yet, but sometime in June, and do cooking classes on site to help people, because a lot of people don't know how to cook. They haven't been taught, you know. So
Are the numbers participating in this program, are they going up?
yes.
What were the numbers like a year ago?
Yes. Okay. So I'm
Roughly.
just guessing. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, you know, we started the first year with serving 20 a month, 40 a month. Now I'm sure that oftentimes we break 80 a month that will come and shop. So, you know, it's just awareness. People are learning that it's there.
Yeah.
What the hours are.
It's a good experience.
Yeah, it's a good experience. It is a nice little pantry. That, you know, we have a really good inventory there, I think,
Yeah.
for as small as it is. And you know, as word gets out on that, you know, it'll pick up, and people will come and tell their friends about it.
Now, this isn't on our list of questions, but I'm fascinated by this cooking class thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who came up with that idea, and what kind of response have you received already?
Yeah, so that's one of the benefits of being with HACAP. So HACAP, once again, Hockout Area Community Action Program in Hiawatha by Cedar Rapids, has connections with universities and et cetera. And so Iowa State, I think, contacted them and said, hey, you know, we have a dietitian or whatever her title would be that would like to come and provide some training on how to cook meals that are in keeping with your inventory. So our Teresa, our director, met with her first in Iowa City, and then she came to our facility, looked at it, and gave us that idea. So we think we're going to back it up to our Celebrate Recovery meeting. So it'll be like 3 weeks in a row on a Thursday night just before Celebrate Recovery. So the participants could come if they would like, sample some food, learn, you know, how
have
to
some
cook
fun.
things. Yeah, have some fun with it, and then go right on into the program.
And then what kind of response have you received already?
Yeah, well, we haven't advertised it publicly yet.
So this is the first time?
Yeah. We just met with Brianna, I don't know, less than 2 weeks ago. So we're waiting to set dates and make some hard plans, and then we'll begin to advertise.
Well, we should schedule a time for you to come back and talk about this.
I would like to. It's a wise program for pantries to consider, and it's a free service that's offered through Iowa State University, and maybe the University of Iowa offers it as well. I don't know.
Now, while we were having lunch, you know, we were talking about numbers in the county, and you were talking about the numbers of those experiencing food insecurity in Washington County, and how much it would cost to remove that food insecurity for all the people all year round.
Right. Yeah, so according to feedingamerica.org, there were 1,540 people in 2020 in Washington County who were food insecure, according to SNAP guidelines, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That was 7% of the population. Washington County is 22,000. So at $3.11 a meal, that's an annual food shortfall of $772,000.
Annual
Shortfall.
For all 1,000 people.
Yes, for all 1,540 people.
All right.
For a year at $3.11 per meal was a total shortfall of $772,000. So, you know, the welfare system's enormous. It's huge, but it still has holes in it. And so, for instance, I was sharing with you, we have a widow lady that shops there. At the end of the month, after she's paid all of her bills, she's got $50 left, and she has to make a choice, you know, $50 of medicine or $50 for food. So the pantry becomes like a godsend, you know, at that level of subsistence. So there are still there are people that are falling through the cracks, and you can't just dismiss the issue because, well, the bulk of people, well, you know, if you're that person, it becomes really important.
Yeah, Happy Talk's not going to solve this.
Yeah, right.
So, can I just speak bluntly for a minute?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Rick's already like, oh God, where are we going with this? That's insane. We are the richest country in the world, by far. And my favorite talking point, our state budget has $2 billion extra lying around.
Yeah.
So let's go with that number of $772,000 for one county to feed the people who need to be fed. Let's round it up. And Iowa has 99 counties. Let's round it up to 100 counties. Right? That's $70 million to feed everybody in the state that needs to be fed. That's not even, that's 7%, that's 3.5% of the state budget surplus we could use for this problem. Did I do that right?
Close
enough. You people at home with calculators, let me know if this is right, but I think it's close enough. Either way, we've got more than enough money to feed the people that are hungry and stave off all the associated issues that arise from hungry people struggling to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes, correct.
Is there a point to that? No. You want to go for there? I don't know what the point is, but I'm just putting those numbers together, and I'm like, there's something very disconnected here.
Yeah, my personal response to that is that, the government is just not the right instrument to provide welfare to, with like 4 million square miles in the United States of America, 300 million people. One agency cannot write out checks from the eastern seaboard and cover the entire population. And so, the commandment, the great commandment to love your neighbors yourself, brings it home, and we're helping our own neighbors.
Yeah.
That level of involvement is what helps, plug the gaps so that people aren't slipping through the cracks. Right. And so, that involvement is a necessary part of fixing the real issue that's there.
All right, what's been the biggest lesson you've learned in this process?
What's the biggest lesson?
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest lesson I think is you can't steer a parked car. So you got to get the thing moving. You just start wherever you're at.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Take a step.
Take a step. This Sunday our church is going to collect cream of mushroom soup, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you just start something. Well, you've got it in motion. And then as you're moving ahead, you can begin to sort things out, because it's extremely complex to give charity in a welfare state. I will be the first to admit it's extremely complicated to try to figure out which people you're enabling and not helping, and which people are actually falling through the cracks. And I don't think there's any way to discern that other than just go. You just get started, you do the best you can. You're prayerful, you're interactive with people, and down the road, you can sort it out and do a little bit better job. So we're gathering momentum. It's just from being persistent, diligent. Yeah.
Well, it's one of the things I've had to learn sort of the hard way, is that there's no one demographic, no one, personality, construct that describes the homeless. Every person who's homeless or hungry has their own story.
Yes.
And
yes, and that's where the personal involvement becomes priceless. The United States of America was built on volunteerism. We have the most amazing form of government, but yet it was because the population itself was personally involved in the welfare of their communities, and the welfare of their neighbors. That's what's made us great, and we're losing that drastically and sadly. And we see so many problems coming up from that absence of relationships that we've historically enjoyed so much. And if we can just restore that, little bit by little bit, a grassroots movement will be a healing for the United States.
Now, let's say you've been granted a magic wand, only for a day, and you can address all the issues, and you can reverse this trend. You can change things to the way you would want them. What would be the first 3 things you would do?
3, huh?
Well, you can do one. It's a really big one.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I'm painfully aware of is the indulgence mentality that we have in the United States of America.
Yeah.
We just cannot entertain ourselves enough.
Yeah.
We can't experience enough pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's really the Bible calls it idolatry.
Yeah.
It's and because of that, we develop a mentality that the strong survive, and you can always predict you can look at the direction any society is taking and treating their weakest people,
Yeah.
and you can predict where that society is headed. It's not the strongest people; it's the weakest people. And so, if we could see that we are the wealthiest generation of people who have ever easily have ever lived on the face of the planet. 85% of the world has no savings account at all. So I was trying to look at my notes real quick.
Go ahead.
Let's see if I can find this real quickly. World Bank reported that 85% of the world's population has no retirement income. So that's over 6 billion people that eat that day if they work that day. The Investment Company Institute shows that assets in individual retirement accounts in the United States totaled $12.2 trillion at the end of the fourth quarter of 2020. The total annual federal budgets of all nations combined in 2017 was $21 trillion.
Jeez.
So a nation with 300 million of 8 billion people has over half the wealth of the nations in our retirement savings. And we still don't think we're wealthy enough to help our neighbor. But it becomes like this elusive goal we're pursuing. You know, the average retiree only lives like 18 years after retirement. So we fixate on this, future date somewhere we're going to attain this certain level of wealth. Well, the outcome of that is I don't feel like I still don't have enough I can share with my neighbor, which is not true. So the magic wand for me would be we can do both. We are wealthy enough to both take care of our neighbor and have plenty in our savings account. And both of those things are valuable in their own right.
That's an excellent point. Thank you. So, readers are leaders. Jim Rome said that. I just quote him. You're definitely a reader. What are you reading these days?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm not a reader. I'm a grazer.
Okay. What are you grazing?
So what I love to do is I like to get used books online. That's really fun for me. Yeah. And then I hunt down the information that I want. I track it down. So I'm grazing through Richard Troxell's books.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
He's a great big picture guy.
He is.
So he sees trends and how to reverse the trends. That's very valuable. My favorite book, of course, I got to say, it's the Bible.
Yeah, I know.
I love to read
Absolutely.
the Bible. And, the Old Testament is like an inspired history from God that shows what's happening behind the scenes with a nation. So, God wrote that history so that the other nations could be instructed from it. Usually, this is what happens with other nations. God loves us. He wants to bless our nations. But the problem is when He does, then we start worshiping the blessings rather than the blesser. And then what's He supposed to do, right? So does He continue to bless us to our own demise, or what does He do with it? It's got to be really complicated for Him.
Kids today, we love our toys.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I love to read the history in the Old Testament and, see how the trends developed toward, the nation. Originally, they came out of slavery in Egypt, and then God delivered them across the burning deserts for 40 years, and inherited this promised land. And initially they were aware this was all from the sovereign hand of God.
Yeah.
He had blessed them. He had protected them. They gave Him glory for it, and they prospered accordingly. Then over the years, they began to think they were producing their own wealth.
Yeah, sure.
And as they did that, they changed. It changed them.
Right.
And they weren't the same people anymore. And eventually, God took the blessings away from them, and they didn't have the same kind of protection anymore.
Okay.
So I just think, there are patterns you can look. It's like archaeology 101. You watch civilizations rise and fall, rise and fall. Well, there's the same patterns behind each one of those if you can study, the moral values that those cultures had, the community involvement that they had. All of those patterns are repeated over and over again.
That's
and
great.
I think the United States of America could learn from that and take warning and say, hey, something's changing in our nation. Is this the same nation that you knew when you were young? Probably not. Well, what's happening? And I think that's where we have talks like this. We actually talk about it. We're not afraid to learn what it might be because that's beneficial for everybody. And if there's things that we can do to fix it, let's do that. Let's work on it and make it better for our children and grandchildren. I got some beautiful grandchildren. I'm just, You know, I want them to be Opie Taylor and their own Mayberry RFD
Nice.
and ride their bikes in safety and all those
That's
things.
nice,
and we
man.
can do that.
All right, so unfortunately, we have to wrap this up. But where can people follow you on the web? And then I have a confession to end this show.
Yeah, sure. So the best place to find us would be on our Facebook page. Our church Facebook page is Brighton Community Church IA. You have to put the IA on there. You end up in Colorado somewhere.
Right.
And then 319-694-2470. They can call our church, or they can go onto the Facebook page, Brighton Community Church IA, and then that'll give them all the information they need to hook up with us.
Thanks for the phone number.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to end this with a confession.
Yeah.
You don't take confession, right?
Right, well, I'm
But-
gonna.
Okay, you are, because I'm going to confess to you in front of the world that the things I've been saying about you behind your back, okay? It's true. I talk about you behind your back all the time. Here's what I say. Rick walks his talk. He lives his faith with a full heart, a smart mind, and a whole lot of energy. He uses all that to humbly serve his parish and the entire community of Brighton, particularly those in need of sustenance, whether it's their spiritual or earthly bodies. Brighton is blessed to have you as a resource. I'm blessed to have you as a friend.
Thank you, Zane.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Right back
you
at
taking
you.
time.
You know, Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the sons of God." And the world has enough troublemakers. We're deeply divided right now, but we have to start liking each other
I'm
again.
a peaceful troublemaker.
You're yeah, that's well put. That's well put. Yeah, so may God increase your kind. Yeah, we need to
Thanks,
work
man.
together and bring you know, the blessings back on our people again.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
thank you.
All right, take care.